All right, good evening. We're going to go ahead and call the City Council Caucus meeting to order. We're just going to explain a little bit about the change in format tonight. Typically, we do not allow public comment or have public comment in our caucus meeting. However, the room is quite filled, and I want to make sure that we let you all have a voice. So we're kind of changing things on the fly. So I know that there is a sign-up sheet in the back. So if you do want to sign up to talk, you can. So feel free to add your name to the list. I know a couple of you guys were already on the list. So just to give you an opportunity to speak your perspective. I do want to thank everybody for being here this evening. Bob Yeager from KYTC is here with us, and then we have Mayor Abishan here from the City of Florence and her team, and then we have Mayor Lenhoff from the City of Ellesmere and his team, and many council members. So thank you so much for being here, and Josh Hunt, City Administrator. Oh, and Steve Doan. Steve Doan, Representative Steve Doan is in the house as well. So I just want to really briefly talk about our shared purpose for this meeting. So a caucus meeting is typically a discussion amongst council. We've kind of changed things a little differently today because we're all here for a very shared purpose. So we got some information about a reconfiguration of Dixie Highway, altering from Commonwealth all the way down to Turfway, a change in the road configuration plan down to 1 lane northbound, 1 lane southbound, and a center turn lane. Once we got this information, we were able to sit down very quickly with Mr. Yeager at KYTC, express our concerns. All of the mayors brought our teams as well, so that we were having the perspective from the city administrators, from the fire departments, from the police departments, and from Public Works. So this meeting occurred last Wednesday. So it's very new information. We have had an update since, and that came today around 1:30. So I'm gonna actually throw the mic to Mr. Yeager. If you wouldn't mind coming to the podium, and you just hit the button. Mr. Yeager is gonna give us an update.
That works. Thank you so much. What a great turnout, and I certainly appreciate you all taking time out of your busy days and everything to come here today. As Mayor Fetty mentioned, and we've got a chance to talk to the other communities as well, we are putting the project on pause. I think for a lot of you that's good news. When we first envisioned this project, this is new to us. It's not something we've done before this way. I was tasked to look at resurfacing projects that would amount to there, and anybody that's driven this section knows that it needs to be resurfaced. Along with that, we looked at could there be some other safety improvements that could be made to make the road a little safer and not reconfigure the entire road, not rebuild something. We all know that with the businesses on the sides, if we went very far, we would have to take a number of homes, a number of businesses to widen it like it is just north of here. So we were looking for some kind of improvements. When we looked at those, some of the things we considered changing the signals, looking at fixing the catch basins that you tend to have a tendency to hit when you're driving in the shoulder lane. The sidewalks are extremely close. Utility poles scare me because they're immovable and they're really close to your driving surface as well. We looked at some areas that have done some configurations like this, some 4-lane sections that have a no median, that have no room to really widen to get any additional space between the curbs. And one of the things that we considered was this reconfiguration. We looked at it from an engineering standpoint, but not from the public use standpoint. So we're going to back up and we're going to get your involvement in that over the coming weeks so we can better understand what it is that your concerns are so we can do that. We'll start with getting with the cities, with the mayors, with their police and fire departments. Then we'll follow that up with some public meetings so that you'll be able to come and attend and look at exactly what we're talking about so you can see what these things all look like. I think it's important to know that our whole purpose is safety. We want to make the road safer for everybody that uses it, and I'm guessing that most of you use it on a regular basis or you wouldn't be here. And so that's our concern as well. That's our primary concern. If we can make the road safer, that's certainly what we want to do. And with that, I'll turn that back over to you.
Great, thank you, Bob. I really appreciate you being here with us this evening and giving us an update. I think it was about 1:30 this afternoon, I got a phone call from you guys expressing the ability to pump the brakes, and I could not be more appreciative of your willingness to gather back together and try to find a better solution. So definitely appreciate the partnership. I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit because we do have such a good relationship. You know, there's so many other projects that we're working on. You know, the reconstruction of Stevenson Road, Kenton Lands, and Dixie. You know, at the Dairy Queen. You know, we've had a lot of projects that are state routes that we have a good collaboration with you guys. So. This project will be no different, and I really appreciate your ability to kind of take a pause. All right, so I also wanted to turn the mic over for just a second to Representative Doan to give us the Frankfurt perspective, because you've been integral in the process of getting a pause.
Thank you, Mayor, and members of council and residents here of Erlanger. Just wanted to give you guys a brief update. I had a whole different speech plan for today other than when we got the news that this project had been put on pause. But I just wanted to come on behalf of the Northern Kentucky Caucus and technically there's 4 state representatives that all touch a piece of Erlanger, and to let you guys know that we've all been unified down in Frankfurt to fight against this project and make sure that your voices there were heard. The first thing that I did was got in contact with the governor's office, with Rocky Atkins, the chief of staff, and then Secretary Gray to ensure them that, look, we don't want this project here. And so I do want to extend a great deal of gratitude and thank you to Mr. Yeager and to the Transportation Secretary for being open and receptive and listening with us. I also put in a bill request today so that things like this don't happen again. And what this bill would do is it would require that before the Transportation Department engage in any resurfacing project that will reduce lane capacity, that they've at least got to give our mayors or the mayors of cities that touch that piece of property a little bit of notice. So, you know, we've got that proposed down in Frankfurt. We're going to try to push that through. It's a little late in the session. We're at the halfway point now. We're in a tight budget session this year. And so I just wanted to come and give you guys that word of advice and let you know Frankfurt is looking out for this, and we wanted to make sure that you guys felt that you were represented there as well. Thank you all.
Thank you, Representative Doan. Mayor Abishan, did you want to speak? And Mayor Lenhoff, I'll call you in just a second.
I just want to thank the cooperation between the mayors and Representative Doan. I too also reached out to the governor's office, and I know that Judge Moore reached out to Secretary Gray as well about this project. And this is a project that I understand is about safety. I think we do need to be aware of that. I think we do need to be concerned about that. There's quite a few accidents that happen in this corridor. It just so happens that last week we had an accident in the adjacent Turfway Road corridor there. So I do think that safety is of the utmost importance, but I don't think you can ever go wrong when you involve the public and you let them know what you're planning to do and you give them time to process it. And I think that's a step that we missed, but I don't think we will miss again. So I think that's important. And I do want to just commend everybody who got involved. we see a lot of divisive politics. We see a lot of polarization of people. And for the most part, for what I observed is people took in this information and made some respectful comments and some requests, and they reached out to their respective cities, they reached out to their representatives, they reached out maybe to the governor's office. I feel like they did it respectfully, and I think that's what we want when we have citizen engagement, is that cooler heads will prevail, and that we just need to remember that we all have a desire to make this community in this northern Kentucky the best it can be, and just be respectful of each other, and I think we did that here. And hats off to Jessica for involving us. Thank you so much.
I'll be brief. Last night, we had our meeting at the city of Ellesmere. I think a lot of our citizens voiced their concerns last night. Once again, I'd like to thank Mr. Yeager and the KYTC for halting this project at this time. Also, Representative Doan for taking this down to Frankfurt with us. I know this is safety first, but as the days have gone on and so forth, and we've sat back and kind of digested the whole quarter change, I think what has happened is I think we found out that maybe there are other issues, safety issues, that will come up with this reconfiguration. And I'm not the smartest person on the world, but even I can find out a few things that I can see that are going to affect it. And I think something like this, a project like this that affects 3 cities, it also affects businesses. We've heard from our businesses in Ellesmere, and the school system. There's a lot of, besides just putting it together and doing a project like this, I think all the shareholders need to be informed of what's going on. And that way we can get back to our citizens and let them know what's going on. And once again, I thank you, Mr. Yeager, for halting this right now. And this way we can sit down together as a group and bring everybody in and come up with a solution to this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Abishan and Mayor Lenhoff. I really appreciate your partnership in this. This truly has been a team effort. And everybody that vocalized their opinion sent a letter to the governor, sent an email to the governor, to KYTC. You guys were fantastic. So I second all that Mayor Abishan said, and the respectful tone of everything that I saw was extremely respectful. And I'm very proud of this community. Just wonderful job. Information that was given this morning, I had brought it up to Jamie Wood from the KYTC, talking about the bus stops. So I know a lot of you guys had talked about that on social media. So we drove the area, we looked at Google Maps. There were 15 different bus stops throughout the corridor, 7 southbound bus stops with only 3 pull-offs. I kind of made a little a graphic that shows the different bus stops. So the red circles throughout the corridor are the bus stops, and you'll see there's 7 southbound, 3 bus pull-offs, and then there's 8 northbound bus stops and only 1 bus pull-off. So I think that's definitely something, when Bob and I were talking today about getting with Gina from Tank and truly understanding how would that impact the bus stop situation. What we were also noticing yesterday with looking through the plan, there are 19 different instances throughout the 1.17 miles of this change that there is a left turn that it does not have a dedicated turn lane. So it's in competition with a turn lane from the opposite direction and a flow of traffic. So the left turn you'd have to hold up traffic. So identifying those 18 businesses that would have a left turn situation, they would have a potential traffic backup, and then one street. So if you look at Bartlett and May Street, so Bartlett has a dedicated turn lane for the left turn, but May Street does not. So we, paying attention to those instances where we've got, we're doing a left turn across 2 different lanes of traffic, and we don't have that dedicated lane. So these were new pieces of information that we were gathering. One of the reasons for public comment, we want to hear some of the other things that we might not be thinking about. What is your name again? Amy. Amy is here from KYTC. She is going to be writing down anything that you guys talk about so that we can so talk slow. So she's going to be taking notes, and we're going to be paying attention to all of the concerns that you guys bring to the table today. So I really appreciate all of the feedback, because we are truly listening. We are truly paying attention to your comments. So let me grab you got it? What is it? Sure, when do you want to? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, before we open it up to public comment, I think some of the council members had comments to say. Yes.
Mr. Yeager, I have a lot of questions for you, so I don't know if you want to go to the microphone while I ask the questions, or if you just want to listen and then you can answer them all at once, but I have quite a few. And some of these were things that residents sent to me, since we were not aware that we were going to allow for public comment until we got here. So the first question is, when will the resurfacing actually happen without the reconfiguration, or is the whole thing on pause because the reconfiguration is on pause? My comment to that is the resurfacing is still desperately needed. It was needed before the winter, and it's even more needed now with the really bad weather that we've had. So that's my first question.
Okay, and yes, they do go together, so assuming that we do a reconfiguration, the time would be just after it's resurfaced. We've all seen those places where we tried to blast off the stripes and then put new stripes down, and you see the shadows. So this is the ideal time, and this is why we're even considering it now, because it was due for resurfacing, and you're right, could have been done as early as last year. This project includes not just resurfacing, but the base failures. So those places where you see the potholes that continue to reoccur, we're going to dig those out first and then fill all those back in, blacktop that portion, and then do a whole new surface over the whole thing. So those will go hand in hand. Okay. And yes, we can pause that for whatever time is necessary, so we can come up with a concerted plan that we're going to move forward with. We'll do our best to continue to go ahead and do the base failures so we can get the road a little smoother, and then once a decision's made on how we all want to move forward, we'll do the resurfacing. And that will be done, hopefully, obviously in this construction season, which will be sometime between March and October.
Thank you. On your website, it had some information about 640 crashes in this corridor in the last 5 years. Last night at Ellesmere's meeting, they shared a little bit of information about the number of pedestrian incidents. I don't know, Mark, I know I had asked if you could get the info for Erlanger, but I know Ellesmere had only had 2 pedestrian-related incidents. Mark, how many had we had in Erlanger?
I don't know the answer to that. Zero. There were 2 fatalities that we had. Those were kind of outlier circumstances as well.
Okay, that's what I thought I remembered from a while back.
And we'll marry up that thing because the data that the city has and what we have, because when we do this, we started this process back in '24. So, our data is like from 19 to 23. And so some of the more recent stuff, and we'll update all that stuff and get the most up-to-date information as we make decisions, because it has drawn on a little bit.
The other thing that the police chief from Ellesmere mentioned last night, and I don't want to speak for our police chief, but I think they would concur, that that doing something like this could actually increase the incidence of T-bone accidents. And I'll let him speak. I'll let the police chief from Ellesmere speak to that. But I just wonder if that has been considered, because I felt like that was a very relevant point that they made last night, and I would like that to be revisited. I also think that there would be a lot of incidents where people are trying to pass other cars in the turning lane. I ate at Dixie Chili tonight, and I literally saw this happen. Someone was trying to turn on the street right before Garvey, before St. Henry, and another car, went around them because they didn't want to wait, and that happens all the time. And I feel like it would happen even more if there wasn't even another lane for them to go in, and they would be going into that turning lane in the middle. The other question I had was, when were the most recent traffic counts done, and were they done throughout the corridor, not just in one spot? I know that the number was under 25,000. I think it was 18 to 21,000, and I want to know when those numbers were from, and were they done at multiple places throughout the corridor, not just one spot?
That's correct. They are averages for a particular section. So if we do a quarter-mile section, that's the average for that section, and then it's averaged in there. And they range from 17 to 21,000.
Okay. What years were those done, though?
Those were done just last year.
Last year, okay. I'm also curious to know if they were done when there were accidents on the interstate, because that diverts traffic to Dixie Highway, and it diverts traffic wherever traffic can go when there's accidents.
Average daily traffic stop.
Okay.
On the average of a typical day. We always try to do them when school's in session so that we have the most peak for a normal day. Not when it's snowing, not when school's out, not when there's a holiday, certainly not when there's an accident where traffic's backed up, because you can't get a count if they're not moving.
I just feel like we're so close to that 25,000 mark, being at 21, and when you throw in another factor like an accident on the interstate that diverts traffic to Dixie Highway, it can make a huge difference in the number of cars.
And we can get in on all the details when we have those meetings, but the 25,000 is the optimum. If you go higher than that, then you should be looking at other things. But that's not, again, 1 or 2 locations that is not going to matter.
Right.
We do have numbers that are higher than that in the sections north of there, hence the 5-lane section. And I don't think any of us want to build a 5-lane section here today through this corridor.
The other questions I had were regarding tank, which we've already addressed. And the last question that I have is not related to Dixie Highway. It is related to Richardson Road, because I live off Richardson Road, and all of my neighbors said, can you please ask while they're there tonight, when is Richardson Road finally going to be done? Because I've sent 2 emails to Jake Ryle in the last 2 months and have gotten no response, and it was supposed to be done in October. So I'm putting you on the spot.
He gave me the answer for that. I forgot. No, we had it done. What we have is a combination of the way we do work. There's 2 ways we do work. We do it with our own forces, and then we do it with contract forces. In this particular case, we had 5 particular areas that the contractor was supposed to complete, and that was the resurfacing. We did all the other work. We did the underpayment work. We did everything else. So it needs that new smooth surface on top. It got to be late enough of the year that the contract actually expired on December 31st. So we have it on the agenda to do first thing, but the contractor gets 90 days to do it. It's unfortunate, but you can understand as a contractor, he wants to be able to set all his work up for the next 90 days, and with these little 200 200-ton projects, which is not even a half a day's work. He's not going to want to just go out and do that and then go back home and sleep. So we're going to do it ourselves. We've got a paving crew in Boone County that's going to come over and do this work for us. So we'll get that done as soon as the weather breaks.
Thank you.
And it's not snowing, and we're not trying to find salt somewhere. I know you're all can attest to that. All right, they all have to be as easy as that now. That's how it goes.
Yes, Ms. Nicely.
I have a question, so I'm glad you're still at the podium. Thank you all for coming tonight. And I have one question that everybody's been asking me. Why was this kept a secret and not transparent, since most projects are worked with the mayors, the stakeholders, and everything? Why was this trying to be pushed through and such a secret as the public?
We didn't consider it a secret. We just didn't tell anybody. And I know that sounds a little silly, but you know, we do resurfacing, we do ditching, we do mowing, we do a lot of things we do. And this is not elevated there. It's a different team that does this. When we get a resurfacing budget, we do resurfacing. And when we looked at our resurfacing to look at what safety improvements we can make, it was practically at no cost. So no federal funds, no guidelines for those kinds of things. But looking back, it's certainly easy to see that this is disruptive. And maybe that's the standard that you use, and not whether you're using federal funds or not. I think that's the key. And so if any of us learned a lesson today, it will be me. And I hope to pass it on to the next person, because this will probably be the last one I do.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. I'll be glad to sit right here.
Oh, yes, Ms. Fields.
With the reconfiguration, was it taken into consideration that the timing of the lights wouldn't get the same number of cars through? Or are they going to change the timing of the lights?
Yes. There's two things that happen. Anytime you have this and you don't have a dedicated left turn lane, the lane in the middle is the left turn lane, so people are not behind there, or they have to wait till it goes so they can go straight. So you lose a little bit there. So it's not a one-to-one. It's not twice as many cars getting through there. But because of the new signalization system we're putting in there, and we're using existing traffic funds for that, and again, not funds from the project. We are upgrading those signals so that those can be timed better. We can look at those things, and you'd be surprised how much traffic. If the traffic is really on most roads are controlled by the intersections. If you took out the intersections, you wouldn't have that kind of traffic, and we'd call it interstate. You know, that's where you get this high speeds. That's where you get things, because people can't get in your way to make left turns and stuff. So yes, we are looking at that, and we will optimize every intersection through this corridor.
Okay. Any other council questions before I move on to public comment?
Just one thing, when you
Yes.
all get done, you'll be able to take the engineering test after this, and so we'll try to get you a license. It doesn't pay much, but it's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bob. All right. So we have a couple people signed up for public comment. I'm just going to kind of go over kind of how we do public comment. So you have 3 minutes in order to take the mic. And we just ask that you don't repeat things over and over again. So if you do agree with the individual that had come before you, you can always just say, I agree with that guy. All right, so we'll be taking notes and making sure that we gather all of your comments and concerns. So the first individual on the list is Kay Svenner.
Sorry, didn't mean to write my
That's okay. That's okay. All right, Matthew and Joanne O'Brien. Okay. Gloria Grubbs.
I was just signing in, but I will make a
And Councilwoman from Ellesmere.
Yes, I'm Gloria Grubbs, City of Ellesmere. I do think in the future that it's very important that you let all the cities know what's going on. I think that made me more upset than the reconfiguration. So just keep that in mind. I will go over some of the areas that people have mentioned to me. Rumpke also goes down that and picks up trash. So if you only have one lane and Rumpke's going through there picking up trash, everybody's going to be in the middle lane. Also with school traffic, you really need to involve that in the study because you've got Miles, you've got St. Henry, you have Lloyd, and they're all coming out at the same time going on Dixie Highway. So the schools are very important. I was curious as to, was the reason for the reconfiguration actually just on safety, or was it on cost also? Because I noticed that the cost was lower. So were we looking at the cost of it too? Oh.
Cost, obviously, we were looking for low cost, but it wasn't the factor in determining this. It cost us a little, the improvements that we're making, this is the strike. What we say in strikes is not an amount. If you put down 4 strikes, you're only putting down 3, you're not going to save any money there. So it's not a cost savings project.
Another question, I just found out this evening when I got here that this project was put on pause. Now, how long would that pause last? Or is there, I know that this has already went out to a contractor, so how long of a pause were we looking at?
We work well with the contractor, and certainly they've got plenty of our work to do. And we can move this from the top, which we would have done if we started, because it was carried over from last year, to the bottom, which would put us in as late as October. So the pause is for us to take all this input, look at what the school's going to do, look at what Rumpke's going to do. It's the first time I heard that, so thank you.
Yes, Rumpke's.
The buses I've been in touch with the tank, and we're going to look at what they need as well. So all of that will be taken into consideration. So how long is that pause? I'm not sure.
Okay.
That was my breaking
That
pause.
pause also incorporates public informational meetings where we'll invite people to come and hear more about the project, hear your concerns again, and kind of try to work through that whole process. So this is not your only opportunity to be heard.
Another issue that is very, very valid is that.
3 minutes.
Okay.
It's okay.
Can I make one more point?
One more.
Is traffic that occurs when there is an accident on 75. Because that Dixie Highway will be literally backed up and you're waiting for 15, 20 minutes to get through there. But I certainly appreciate you being here this evening, and we won't beat up on you too bad. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scrubs. All right. Missy Tester?
She just signed me in.
Okay. Blame her. Okay, Colin Schubert? Yes.
As a I understand that pedestrian safety was a big consideration in this. As somebody who walks a lot and is a pedestrian on Dixie Highway, I can say for myself that it doesn't feel unsafe. I've never had many issues. Most of the people I've talked to have not had issues, so just a personal, anecdote. I don't have any statistics, but thank you.
Thank you. All right, Will Ann Stangl?
My question is, I understand that this is not a great solution. There's a lot of problems with this, and we've all talked about this. But what I'm not hearing is there's still a problem in that area, because what you're talking about with Rumpke there and the buses there, and they're very narrow lanes, and the grates that are bumpy and all that kind of stuff. It's a terrible section to drive through. So is there another alternative other than just resurfacing it and leaving it exactly like it is, and we've called it a day? I understand that we needed more input, and we've given that to you today, but there's still an issue there to my thinking, and that's a problematic area that needs to be addressed. So is there a plan to, if we don't go with this, are we just resurfacing it and putting some more lines down and calling it a day, or is there an ultimate reconfiguration in the future that might be a different reconfiguration?
Bob, for the sake of people listening, either online or in the audience here, you can use this.
I'm sorry. Thank you for that. Two things. One is this is a short-term, low-cost, hopefully bang for your buck kind of deal. The options, the alternates are certainly we could do something maybe with some additional signal optimization, getting signals to work better, changing the way signals are. Could you prohibit left turns totally and put and allow U-turns at the intersections? Could you do that? Well, you could, but we haven't seen that be very proactive. You can't do that. So you're asking if there are other options. The ultimate option would be obviously to build it to 5 lanes, and then you would literally have to take 40 feet from one side to the other, which would put you into the businesses, the houses, pretty much everything. And then you'd have to realign all the intersections. You were talking about a massive thing, and that's not something we would consider when the Brent Spence Bridge is under construction. So that's 5 to 7 years away at minimum.
So it's best to just live with it like it is what I guess I'm hearing.
Well, looking at some short-term solutions, obviously the traffic patterns, doing those kinds of things. Can we do things? Can we help the school with a better traffic pattern? Can we do those kinds of things internally? And the answer is we certainly want to look at those. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Danielle Bueller.
Okay, I have several questions, several comments, so obviously I'm not expecting my questions to be answered because I only have 3 minutes. But I'm going to put them out there that they're on the record, and hopefully I'll get answers at some point in time. First of all, part of it has been answered as far as when was this decision made. Obviously, you said it was made within the last year, but you guys have been looking at it for a few years, not several years, which is better than what I thought. You talked about the data that you did have. I'd like to have a better, broader understanding of how old that data is. We have a little bit when it came to the 18 to 21,000 traffic. However, again, that's not consistent. Yes, you probably did it during regular times. But I would like to see if we can collect data during extremer times, because at least 25% of the time, not 50, not over 50, but at least 25% of the time, other area construction and traffic impacts that, which will increase that. I would also like to know who ran the study and their credentials, because if we're looking at a national versus a local, I don't feel like people that have national input or studies have the same knowledge base to the local area. You made a comment about there being the resurfacing and the reconfiguration being integral together. That's not, I think we need more than just a few weeks or months to look at this. I think the whole idea of it being a temporary solution, I also don't agree with. That whole 21,000 at the max that we currently have, that's going to increase. We're not going to get less vehicles. We're going to get more vehicles coming down that regardless. So I don't think we need to be looking at a temporary solution. I do think we need to be looking at a long-term solution. I think we need to be getting studies and figures on what is the potential of the increase in traffic flow over the next few years with the other constructions in the area and other development, because Erlanger has a lot of development going on. We have apartments going up, houses going up all the time. With that also being said, I don't think that they should be together at this point in time, because the resurfacing is important. It is necessary. Last year, the year before, every other stretch of Dixie Highway has been resurfaced besides ours. And I know for a fact, and you kind of pretty much confirmed it to me, that this was supposed to be done in October. And again, we weren't notified. The local community government wasn't notified. And there's still a sign sitting up saying, hey, we're going to do work October 31st, 4 months ago. Again, Besides the local transit authority, I agree with the whole Rumpke, the schools, because you do have Florence schools, Boone County schools, although Erlanger Ellesmere does not. And again, yes, definitely work with the schools and theirs. Also, I think there needs to be studies also done about the community itself, the side streets, about the impact. Yes, you've lightened it a little bit, they've talked about it a little bit, but even when you said earlier about the whole, can we divert traffic around? Sanders is going to be a nightmare. It's a nightmare getting off Sanders. I don't live on Sanders. Them poor people, they can't get in and out as it is. They're definitely, regardless of any of the options or variables I've heard tonight, it's going to be worse for them. Unfortunately, they're probably going to need a light. And if that was the other question I did want to ask, besides the changing of the lighting structure, is there a potential of increasing or decreasing the amount of lights? That also could be a potential that we can look into, besides just the surfacing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Amy Staton.
Before Amy comes up, I'll introduce myself. I'm Mark Collier. I'm the city administrator. I also wear the hat, Amy, as timekeeper. So if you see me put up this sign, that means kind of wrap it up as quick as you can. Thank you.
All righty. I'm Amy Staton. I am an Erlanger resident, a long time, born and raised. I'm also the owner of Adore Hair Studio on Bartlett Avenue. I'm here because I care deeply about our community and the long-term health of our neighborhoods and small businesses along Dixie Highway. As a small business owner, my livelihood depends on predictable, easy customer access. My clients book appointments. They plan their time carefully. This new road plan would create confusion, detours, and difficulty entry points of my clients, not only to arrive late, many will cancel and maybe not come at all. My daughter and I have a small business. It's a 3-chair hair salon right on Bartlett Avenue, and I also live on Bartlett Avenue, which when traffic is really bad, people come down Bartlett also. The small business operates on tight margins, and even temporary access disruption can create lasting financial harm. Thank you for letting me voice my concerns. That's basically, we are a very small business. We're a 3-chair hair salon, but we are very, very busy. And our clients come from Union, Richwood, Florence, Villa Hills, Fort Mitchell, Park Hills, anywhere and everywhere that they use the Dixie Highway, the Expressway, and all the back roads. So when you tangle everybody up, we're going to be in trouble. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Laura Sowers.
I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak. I want to thank Mayor Jessica for letting us know of this, because I don't believe we would have known otherwise. I didn't speak right away because I wanted to do my research first. So I looked at many, many, many different areas that have this same configuration. And I came to the conclusion that this is a very bad idea for our residents. I feel very well qualified to speak on this because I have lived in Erlanger, specifically on Bartlett Avenue, for over 50 years, my husband and I. And I'm very familiar with the traffic going to the schools, Lloyd, all the schools, St. Henry. I think this is, because I live on Bartlett, so close to Dixie Highway, I've had years to observe this. And after doing much research, with all due respect, I think this is a very bad idea. And I have had quite a bit of time to ponder this. So in conclusion, I do not believe this project should be paused. I think it should be scrapped, totally. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be heard. I appreciate you all being here to listen, everyone. But like I say, I've done my research, and I think this is a very, very bad idea. So please reconsider this. I feel in a very good position living on Bartlett for so long, close to Dixie Highway, and observing everything for years, and I'm very upset about this. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Greg Lefton.
I too have been here for 48 years. I've lived in Bartlett. I've traveled that highway many a times. My big problem, I think, with the buses and left turns are my problems. I think we'll answer most of that. I want to thank Mr. Yeager for being here tonight. I appreciate you coming here and answering the questions. And I hope now you listen to other people. This job will be permanently postponed forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jeff Nicely.
Thank you. My name's Jeff Nicely, local business owner, right near Dixie Highway. We've been there for about 30 years. And I think we all agree that something needs to be done with Dixie Highway. Traffic is horrible on it. I just don't think that we should do something that's going to make it worse. And I don't necessarily have the answers. I just think that we need to put more time and research into it. So I think part of what we're having trouble with is visualizing how we can have 2 lanes of traffic each way like we do now and condensing that down to 1 lane each way. So I don't think I'm the only one that's having a tough time seeing how that works. So maybe if there's examples of where that's worked. I know the only thing locally that I've been able to find is in Cincinnati. I think Glenway Avenue, they did it. And from people that travel that road daily or far more than I do, they say it's terrible. It's a hot mess. So I think that maybe if we could see where this works. And a couple concerns that I had that may have already been asked, so I don't mean to repeat us. I'm going to blame it on the acoustics in the back of the room, but it's probably my old ears. Bus and garbage truck traffic, tractor trailers, a lot of them use that route, and then the extra traffic from when 75 shuts down. And then what I'm concerned about is when traffic does get congested, even like it does now, cars go through the neighborhoods to bypass Dixie Highway. So Sunset and Forest, all of those secondary roads that are neighborhoods with kids playing and people in the streets, I think this is going to add more traffic to them. So I think that should be thought about and that should be addressed. I think safety should be the number 1 priority. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Jesse Foreman is next.
Yes, hello. My name is Jesse Foreman, and I'm a resident that lives off of the road in question. And I want to start off by saying thank you to the elected officials for all the work they did to get this project paused, and to Mr. Yeager and KYTC for pausing the project to hear from the public. When I saw the post about this, it reminded me of something, so I went back to Facebook and tried to find the post it reminded me of, and I found it was a roadshow post from KYTC from December of 2025, and it says that the project should also include a roadway reconfiguration of Dixie Highway from Turfway Road to northeast of Commonwealth Avenue. KYTC will provide additional details related to the safety improvement at a later date. So that was from December, and I think it's kind of hinting at what we're talking about today. So when I looked at further researching it, I found a Northern Kentucky Tribune article that states the same thing from September 8th. So I was just wondering if anybody did see those articles and reached out to KYTC to get further information in relation to what they were trying to discuss. Thank you.
All right, Scott Kimmick.
Mayor and council, thank you for your indulgence this evening in letting people come up and talk, which is contrary to your usual caucus procedure. Mr. Yeager, thank you for being here with your staff to answer questions. This project on Dixie Highway traffic flow has been a problem here since 2000. The only 3 people in the room who probably were around at the time that we studied this was Gloria Grubbs, Bob Yeager, and myself when we did the Dixie Highway Corridor Study, and it called for some significant changes in the lighting and the looping of the lights. And folks, it never happened. It was a government study that was put on a shelf by leadership in this community and never followed up on. This is not a KYTC created monster. It's a monster we collectively in Northern Kentucky allowed to be created because, Bob, you know that study said make changes back then, close entrances to certain businesses, require right lane egress, left lane, turn only in and out. So I would encourage that as this moves forward from pause, let's go back and take a study that was done with good public money, off the shelf, dust it off, and look at what was said, because I read that study again this afternoon, and it talks about the traffic pattern, it talks about the businesses and how they're going to be impacted and how to improve the traffic flow and how to resynchronize the lights and create a closed loop system. And it even provided a mechanism. It was going to cost $500,000, $500,000, to give the dispatch center the ability to control the lights on Dixie Highway during peak times like the I-75 shutdowns. You remember that, Gloria? The problem was at the time we had multiple dispatch centers. And the question was, which dispatch center's in charge? Well, that argument's gone now. That argument is no longer there. So there are tools at our disposal. There are options available to us. And all I'd ask you to do is when you get to sit down and talk, look at the study, look at the options that were provided. And Bob, I know this is a problem all over the state, but when they resurface the road, would you please reach out to the sanitation and water and have them put a lip on top of the manhole covers, because quite frankly the speed bumps created by the manholes are worse than the potholes you're filling, and there's nothing you can do about that without the public utilities. Thank you very much.
So I just want to say a couple things. That does conclude public comment so far, and appreciate everybody showing up. KYTC on one of our calls today when we were talking about how we're going to go forward, they were very transparent to say, we want the public comment right now. This is where we start to build what is next for our community. So very appreciative of everybody showing up. Takes courage to speak. We did detract a little bit from our typical cadence and how we do these caucus meetings, so I just wanted to say that thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I called every name on there. I'm sorry. We have to. It was at the very bottom. Somebody put that on the very bottom. I don't know why. We are not done with public comment. We're opening it back up. Okay, Barb Bruning. And if I've mispronounced, I apologize. Barb, B-R-U-E-N-I-N-G. Maybe she left. Okay. Linda Holbrook.
I signed up by accident.
Okay. That's okay. No worries. We won't force you to talk. Gary Webster. Okay. Mary Merrick. Yes. Come on up.
I thought I was just studying in, but I do have something. So actually, with the help of my brilliant 10-year-old grandson, we did some surveying and some counting the other day. Drove that corridor back and forth. And with him counting out loud, now I don't know what we were talking about a few minutes ago when you said that there were, 18 businesses without designated pull-offs or designated turn lanes? But what I was trying to figure out is, if you were driving north and needed to turn left into a business or into your own home or to a side street, how many possible places might there be? And if you came the other way and needed to turn left to get to your destination, how many places would there be? We count, and this just blew my mind, but he was counting out loud, and I was watching as we were going, and I said, just how many places might a car need to turn in? Going from Commonwealth to Turfway, turning right, which means turning left from the opposite direction, 61 places, 61 places. I mean, I'm talking about private residences, small businesses, bigger businesses, side streets, whatever it is, 61 places. Going the opposite direction, I thought, well, there can't be nearly that many. Yeah, there are 67 going the other way. Now, ages ago, I remember I was living in Indiana at the time when I first saw a road that was made with that middle turn lane. It wasn't called a center turn lane, it was called a suicide lane. And that's what I think. You've got 128 possible places people want to turn left, facing one another in the same lane. This is not a smart idea. Not smart. So that's all. But those are real numbers, and if you want to drive the road yourself, you might come up a couple different, but not much. Anyway, so that's what I had on my mind. Thank you, and thank you all for doing this for us.
Mary, thank you so much for taking your grandson out and gathering that data. You should run for council. I love it. I wrote your data down. Thank you. It's right. It is. Hot off the press.
To be honest, he said, Grandma, you might want to just round it to 60.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, so Sarah Allen is next.
Hi, my name is Sarah Allen. I'm a resident of Ellesmere. I live on Garvey, about a block and a half off of Dixie Highway. And I agree with all the points, and I actually have a few other ones. I also work on Crescent Springs Road, where it is one lane, one direction, one lane the other direction with a center turn lane. I have never heard the term suicide lane for that center turn lane, but that is very accurate. I cannot tell you how many times trying to, if I leave my business of Music House and have to come to get lunch or dinner or come back, and to get into that lane, the amount of people using that as a high-speed lane to get to the stop sign who nearly hit me or honk at me and act like I'm in the wrong for using it for its actual purpose. I have a lot of younger, newer drivers for students who I have to help out, and basically stop traffic and put my life in danger to help them turn left because they can't see when somebody's flying from way back at R.A. Jones, flying down that road. So that was a huge thing. Garvey, in the mornings, if I don't have to go anywhere, I do not leave my house between 7 and 8 a.m. because everybody knows it's a cut through for school traffic, it's a cut through to Stevenson, and if they do this road reconfiguration, I will never be able to pull out of my driveway during the day. As it is, there are so many certain times a day I have to wait 5-10 minutes literally just to pull out of my driveway from traffic. Another thing is, I know the side streets have been mentioned. I don't even have kids, and I already know all of the side streets, the children would be endangered greatly by the amount of traffic going down every single side street. My friend lives on Orchard, another friend lives on Swan Circle. Those are cut-throughs whenever the expressway backs up. Another concern I had was looking back to when my dad had a stroke years ago. you take the lanes down, police, fire, and ambulances, how are they going to be able to get through in a timely manner? If somebody's having a stroke or a heart attack, seconds matter getting to the hospital. And potholes, I know people spoke about potholes, they're not going to have any, right now, we can get into the center lanes if there's a pothole on the curbside, but we'll have nowhere to go, and so then that's going to create all kinds of damage to vehicles. If they do this reconfiguration, are they going to ban semis? Because those, already spill over the lanes as it is, and then they back up traffic, and then they slow things down when the expressway backs up. And as somebody had mentioned side streets, but if you're on a side street and they do this reconfiguration, you're never going to be able to go left unless you're at an intersection. It's going to be very hard to turn left. My brother lives in Erlanger Lakes as well. There's a bus stop right there. If they want to go right at the bus stop, but I thank you guys so much for allowing us to speak and for pausing this and for, taking a moment. We really appreciate giving us a voice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, Lorraine Allen. Okay, all right, thank you. All right. Okay. Brian Willenbrink.
Apologize for my chicken scratch.
Oh, no, it's just tiny.
But, I will be deferring my comments since we're on hold.
Okay.
Everybody likes to hear that.
Okay. Great, thank you so much. Okay. Rain Baller?
It's Rainy Baker.
Rainy Baker?
Also a lifelong resident. I also thought it was a sign-in sheet.
Okay. That's okay. All right, Steve and Diana Hutton. Okay. Okay. That's the 3 pieces of paper. Were you on there? Oh, sorry. 3 pieces of paper that were filled with names. Is that all the pieces of paper? I didn't miss any others? There you go. Okay. All right, so that concludes public comment. Council has had an opportunity to speak. Bob, you have all of the information, and I just can't thank everybody enough for coming out. This concludes our meeting. Do I entertain a motion that we adjourn? Mr. Farmer, Ms. Wilson, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carried. Have a good evening.